It's getting pretty cold out here, but I'm gonna see if I can warm up some water with this. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda out here in the wilderness, and sometimes you gotta heat some stuff up. And I don't mean shedding the clothes and jumping in the sleeping bag with Lucy Hale. I mean filling yourself up with wholesome goodness like a hot cup of water, coffee, or hot chocolate. And in my hands here, I just picked this up. It's a little tiny camping stove. And what I like about it is, one, how small it is. Comes in this little nylon pouch here. And then here we have the stove still wrapped in plastic. So it's pretty small. I mean, smaller than a cup. And that makes it really portable and travelable. And I think it's stainless steel and aluminum probably. But what's cool about this is not just its size, it's the fuel that it uses, which is fuel that we all have. Now, what I want to show you here is that it looks like each of these legs is a little spring-loaded. So to open it up, you have to get these little tabs that are kind of pressed into the legs out of this little tube. So you press them out, and now I can rotate it. And then they lock back in, so this won't accidentally close on you, right? So you just do that, push out on all sides, all right? And now I can pull out the middle piece here. You can see what the little stand looks like. Pretty simple, but some little fingers there to hold the little cup in place. And then the cup is all wrapped up here. And you can see we have a top, so that is for extinguishing, which is nice because I wasn't actually sure how you'd be able to do that. And then we get this little cup. Actually, it looks like it's double walled, and I think that is to help circulate air. We have some little holes right there, and that's actually where I think the flames will shoot out of. So when you fill this up, you can see that the double wall doesn't go all the way to the bottom. So we'll put the fuel in here, and then I think it will burn on the outside there. And then you can extinguish it like this. And that's because this little guy runs on alcohol. So I have some isopropyl alcohol here, 91%, first aid antiseptic. And what I love about this is that you don't need a lot of alcohol. You can just kind of use whatever you got. I know that some of you carry Smirnoff and plastic bottles, so you can burn that. But even in Disarm Canada, you can buy alcohol still. So that's kind of nice that you go on your trip, you say, hey, did I pack white gas or something like that? You don't have to worry about that. Just run into your local CVS or Walgreens, get a little alcohol. You'll know you'll have fuel to start this fire. The other thing I like about it is that it burns clean. So I have my little tea kettle out here, and one of the things that kind of sucks is when you put it over to open a fire, it starts getting, one, discolored, but you get that soot, you get that ash on there. It's really hard to actually clean up. You get it on your stuff when you throw it back in your tin or your backpack. You can get that ash or that burn on your stuff when you pack it back up. You know, it's just kind of a pain. And so something like this will burn clean, kind of like a natural gas, right? So it's a natural fiber, Jerry. So you just put that in there, and then it says to not overfill it, no more than 100 milliliters. And one of the reasons is because alcohol is kind of hard to put out. And that's why I like this, so that if we are done with it, I can just extinguish it, remove the oxygen from it like that, because I wasn't sure how that worked. So it kind of works like a sterno kettle. But I wanted to see if I could get this tea kettle, which is half filled with water, up to a good hot temperature so that I can make a nice hot cup of coffee or something like that, keep myself warm, and, you know, potentially cook, rehydrate freeze-dried food. So let's give it a shot. All right, so here I've got the stove. I probably don't need to have this thing burning forever in a day. So just gonna go ahead and pour in some alcohol here. Just gonna eyeball a little bit. And even though it's 91%, hopefully that should burn pretty nicely. Now, you always wanna be careful with alcohol because wherever it drips, that will also burn. And it's also gonna flare up, kind of a little bit like gasoline. So I'm going to use these matches, but I'm going to be pretty careful with this and just stay away from it here. And because alcohol tends to light up pretty quickly, and I have matches here, what I'm actually going to do is I found this little tiny twig. I'm just going to see if I can light the end of it just to make sure I have standoff from the alcohol should she decide to roar up on me a little bit here. All right, and the alcohol is lit. Fires up pretty easily once you get it going. You might not be able to see it. The flame can be a little invisible, but putting out some nice heat. And like I said, it's kind of got that bluish flame down there. All right, so now that that's going, I can actually take my little tea kettle, and even though it's a round bottom here, it's gonna fit in there without smothering that and putting out the flame. So, yep, still burning. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put that on there. And now we'll wait and see if it can heat up water on a pretty cool autumn day. All right, and so before you put anything on the fire, I wanted to show you exactly the phases that the flame goes through. So when you light it up, obviously the alcohol lights, but what you want to do here is give it a little while to burn, because what I notice is that it kind of goes into this next phase where the alcohol starts to vaporize. I think it starts to boil. You'll start to see the top bubble up a little bit, and then you'll get those little blue flames starting to peek out of those holes on the side. And the flame starts getting hotter, more intense. It's growing in size, so it's starting to lick, you know, 8-10 inches up in the air almost. And then when you get to basically the third phase, and I think the alcohol really warms up here, there's a lot of vapor on the top, then it seems to just kind of really roar out of those pinholes, and that seems to be the moment that you want to start cooking on it. All right, here, I didn't get it up to a roaring boil or anything, but it's getting colder and I'm getting impatient, so just gonna go ahead and pour. It's like some warm water into this mug here and make myself a cup of tea to finish out the evening here. So if you want to pick up an alcohol stove, a tiny one, so you can't do a lot of cooking for a lot of people, but if you want to heat up stuff without creating a lot of soot or ash that uses a fuel that you can find anywhere, then I will put a link to this little stove in the description below. Peter Von Panda, out.